Bitcoin is toying with your emotions. Whenever it pumps ever so slightly on these smaller time frames, altcoins can finally breathe. But whenever we dump to the downside at the bottom of this range, altcoins suffer once again. In today's video, we'll be going over the Bitcoin price action, talking about our current range right below the all-time highs, and we'll also be discussing the possibility of a summer chop. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Guys, what is there to say? I mean, we are still just chopping around right below the all-time highs. As we can see, Bitcoin is continuing to test our patience. We are still in this zone and we have still not been able to get the daily close above 106.2K, which is the most important level. Confirmations above that level is key for us to make a brand new all-time high. Now, currently Bitcoin, if I zoom in a little bit closer, we can see that we are getting rejected at the weekly open, which is no surprise because we had a pretty aggressive weekly open, bringing us all the way up to 106.5K. Now, as I'm recording this video, we wicked back into this consolidation region, and it seems like we're trying to hold it as support as Bitcoin continues to trickle on up. Some of you guys need to relax with your leverage trading because we can see that a ton of liquidity has started to get built up to the upside once again. A lot of shorts are entering the market, and this is the perfect storm to liquidate all of those shorts. And yes, I'm not blind. I can see that there's a ton of longs as well that are likely to get liquidated. So usually when Bitcoin chops around in a range like this, it can really wreck a lot of traders. I know a ton of traders that made a bunch of money all the way up into this all-time high last year, only to lose all of their profits during this long choppy period. The market finds ways to shake you out at every instance, and right before all-time highs is usually a very tricky environment to be trading because a lot of people are screaming at the top of their lungs that we will explode to the upside. Meanwhile, we have people like myself that think that a correction is due. Now, no one has a crystal ball, as I've always said, and this is a very tricky environment to be trading. Anyone that tells you any differently is simply lying and trying to get you liquidated. This is going to be a little bit tricky. So far, we've been holding this level as support, but without several daily confirmations above 106.2K, I'm not convinced that we will just explode to the upside either. So right now, I am currently not trading Bitcoin, sitting on my hands, waiting to see where the breakout takes us, and I will likely trade based on what the market gives us. Remember, trading is a game of probabilities. No one can predict exactly in advance what will happen. So right now, I'm just being patient with Bitcoin. In the meantime though, as altcoins continue to bleed against Bitcoin, I have been shorting some altcoins on my own accord, not really sharing them in the community because they're super risky to do. But just so you know, I have been looking at the altcoin market as it continues to underperform Bitcoin. Right now though, waiting for this confirmation for Bitcoin. If we can break to the upside, this will likely drag a lot of altcoins with it. But as we've been discussing, if we do move lower, altcoins will get annihilated. I promise I'll be quick here with Bitcoin dominance, but we can see that the trend just continues. And if I zoom in right now, we got a perfect bounce from the bull market support band telling me that we will likely be moving higher for Bitcoin dominance. Whether Bitcoin goes up or down, it will continue to outperform altcoins as seen on this chart. Won't get into it too much. Now, the next thing, can you handle a summer chop? I'd like to talk about this scenario because we know that the price action during summertime is pretty still for crypto and also for the stock market. It doesn't tend to be the most bullish period, but it doesn't necessarily have to be bearish. It could just mean that we have an extended chop. Now, I've outlined on this chart some chops that we've seen in the past. The most significant one, in my opinion, is here back in 2024, where we just continued to chop around as we just went over, and a lot of traders got wrecked. Then we finally had that confirmed breakout to the upside. This would align with the 4-year cycle theory of us potentially having a brand new aggressive all-time high for Bitcoin towards the end of this year, end of Q3, Q4. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that has to be the case, but if we were to have a summer chop, it could potentially look like this, where we just continue to chop around, come back to the middle of the range, maybe even make a scary low, and then go ahead and pump to the upside at the end of Q3 near Q4. And what you would want to see to invalidate this would be Bitcoin making a new all-time high and then having several daily closes above 106.2K. If that's the case, that would indicate to me that Bitcoin wants to move much, much higher actually into the summer. That would be very positive if you're a bull at this point in time. But the liquidity tells me that both sides will get wrecked before Bitcoin actually makes its next aggressive move. I mean, look, there's a ton of liquidity here all the way down to 101.9K. And if we go lower, we can also grab the liquidity that was set right above $100,000. If I go on the chart here and we look at some of these wicks, we can see that we actually dumped all the way down to $100,700. So it wouldn't surprise me if we grab this liquidity here, but if we also grab this liquidity to the upside. Looking at this liquidity map, this is a market maker's dream. Now, we've always gone over the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, but I just wanted to show you this once again. We can see right now that there's around $4.6 billion of cumulative short liquidation leverage if Bitcoin were to go all the way up to around $118,000. The reason I'm showing you this chart again is because it's pretty significant, because on the flip side, if we were to go to the low $90,000 level, $19.38 billion worth of cumulative long liquidation leverage can be found. So be careful here, because the market is still very much longed from lower levels. And so this tells me that we could get another potential shakeout. It doesn't mean that we have to come all the way back down to this level, but what this would suggest is that we could potentially revisit this previous breakdown range that I've been talking about on the channel. That has been my base case for the past few weeks, to come back down to this breakdown region and hopefully hold it as support and then move higher. But as more and more people try to short the market right above the current levels, it wouldn't surprise me if we were to create more wicks up here before we then go ahead and make that move. If we get daily closes above 106.2K, multiple of those closes, at that point, I would be going long, targeting the all-time high and beyond. But until we get those confirmations, I don't think that we're in the clear yet for Bitcoin to move much, much higher. Be wary, be careful, because this chop is likely about to get a lot of traders wrecked. But we have our key levels for longs and shorts. For a short, as I mentioned in my previous video, if we get daily closes below this area, right around 102.5K, that would target a short for me all the way down to the previous breakdown region, hopefully holding that level as support. But my take profits would be in here if we were to get the daily closes there. So far though, if we take a look at the chart, Bitcoin is still trying to chop up and grab that liquidity to the upside. We cannot ignore this fact. And that reminds me, if you want to trade this market, you have the first link in my description down below, bringing you directly to Bluffin. If you sign up with my link, you can get a $300 free bonus for your trading. All you need to do is deposit $2,000 and you'll get $300 added to your account automatically within 72 hours. That is the first link in my description down below. Excellent for your trading. We also have the second link, which brings you directly to Weeks, another top exchange that I've been using regularly, and the first 100 users that sign up with the second link in my description down below will get a $100 bonus. You can also earn up to $30,000 in rewards based on your trading volume, of course. These are two solid exchanges and I would highly recommend them both. The first two links in my description down below. Next up, let's check in on our whale that we've been tracking so extensively over the past week. At first, he had a $500 million position, but he actually took out a lot of profit from this position today before Bitcoin went ahead and moved lower. Earlier today, as I was tracking this whale, this was at $190 million, the total value of his trade. So he cut his position, made a lot of profits, and then he re-entered as Bitcoin trickled on down and held this level as support. That's a pretty impressive short-term trade if you ask me. Very tricky to get chopped up in this market, but he seems to have managed it correctly. Right now though, his liquidation level is sitting again at around $93,000, and so if we were to come back down and retest that breakdown region, he would likely get liquidated. But he has already made millions of dollars in profits, and it seems like he has a very good grasp of the market. Next up, I wanted to show you the stock market, because right now, as I'm recording this video on the daily, it is a small red candle, nothing to necessarily be concerned about. We are above the weekly open, we are above the yearly open, and we are also above the monthly open, along with the 200-day moving average. So If stocks can continue to hold above these levels, we would likely be targeting an all-time high. But right now we are approaching some key resistance area, so let's see how it materializes. Usually if stocks go up, Bitcoin will likely follow. Right now, if we get rejected here and we tumble on over, obviously that wouldn't be good for Bitcoin. The reason I'm pointing this out here and that we are slightly above the 200-day moving average is because if we compare it to what happened previously back in 2022, which was a scenario that I talked about on the channel a couple weeks ago, we did pump above the 200-day moving average, and then we went ahead and trickled on lower, set that low, and then we went ahead and pumped for years to come. So the question is this going to be the confirmed pump? From the bottom, we just continue to rip on higher, or around this area, as we saw in 2022, will it be time to roll over and perhaps set a new low? And while Bitcoin chops around here, let's take a look at Ethereum, because we can see that Ethereum is trying to hold its bull market support band as support. Usually, if we can manage to successfully hold this level, it means that Ethereum will get a nice pump. But there are some conflicting things because we can see that we're still below its bull market support band against the Bitcoin pair. In most instances where Ethereum really pumps against Bitcoin and on its USD valuation, it has held its bull market support band against Bitcoin as support for an extended period of time. Right now, we are still below this level. We wick to it, and then now we're potentially coming back down for another retest, but let's see how this develops. Obviously, there's some concerning signs, but if we really zoom out, this is why retail never wins, as Crypto Rover put it here. Retail capitulated right around here before we went ahead and pumped into a bull market. Retail, once again, capitulated during last summer when we wicked all the way down to $49,000. And then when we went down to $74,500, retail capitulated again. Regardless of our trades, if we're bullish or bearish, that doesn't really matter because in the long term, I have been extremely bullish. So when we came back down to $74,500, it was an excellent level to accumulate Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this is why I always recommend to have your spot portfolio and then your trading portfolio. Your trading portfolio allows you to navigate the market very quickly and make quick gains. Meanwhile, your spot portfolio is for the long term where you don't get shaken out and you don't get stressed out by all of this chopping around. I would never recommend just having a full trading portfolio, especially if you believe in Bitcoin in the long term, as I do and as I've been sharing on this channel. And just quickly on Ethereum before I wrap up this quick video, there was a little bit of a concerning sign here. An ETH whale and Ethereum co-founder just transferred 107,736 Ethereum to Kraken, which is around $262 million worth of ETH. Usually when you see this kind of transfer onto a big centralized exchange, it means that they're going to try to sell. So this could potentially add some sell pressure to Ethereum. I'll make sure to keep you updated as the charts develop, but I just thought that you should be aware of this because this is a pretty big deposit to a centralized exchange. And as I wrap up this video, we can see that the daily candle for Bitcoin is currently green. It looks like we're trying to target this region. But again, if you are to long this, wait for the confirmations above these wicks and to hold 106.2K as support for consecutive days. Once we have that, I would be very confident in saying that Bitcoin will be moving much, much higher and setting an aggressive all-time high. And that sums up today's video. Bitcoin just continues to chop higher. Meanwhile, we had a whale take a lot of profit off of his huge Bitcoin long, and then he went ahead and re-added to his position. Now, will Bitcoin finally make the break to its all-time high and hold there on the daily level as support so we can go ahead and move even higher? Or are we going to get another nasty wick to shake out the shorts and then go ahead and shake out all of the longs, which are currently right below the current Bitcoin price? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.